The ring alert woke up in my pocket at 1:43 a.m., a clean little chime that didn't match the hour. On the screen, the garage camera showed Alice hauling 2 feed bags stamped with a black marker word we both respected: donors. At that same minute, my phone buzzed with a text from her that said, "Staying on the boat with an anxious dog. He shakes at night. Don't wait up. I fix docks and hull hookups for a living. I know which boats actually sleep and which ones drift." In that second, I felt a knot pull tight inside me, the kind you can't undo without cutting. I'm Austin, 39, the guy at the St. Pete Marina who hems your boat into a slip so the Gulf doesn't eat it. If you've ever walked a floating dock when the crosswind tries to knock you into the water and you didn't go in, there's a chance I set the line that held you up. My hands smell like rope and salt and hydraulic fluid. I can hear a bad cleat before it rips. I married someone whose work also runs on knots. Alice runs a small animal shelter 5 blocks inland. She's the kind who can make a scared cat blink slow and then fall asleep in her lap. She calls herself a fixer of breathing things. I loved that. I still do. It started with nights she labeled as compassion. Marine clients, she'd say, tying her hair up with a rubber band that always seemed to live on her wrist. Dogs who panic on the water, they need a person to stay. She said it like a nurse talking about an old man who can't sleep unless somebody reads him a story. The first time she slept on a boat, I thought, that's who I married. The fifth time, when it lined up exactly with my graveyard maintenance shift at the marina, I thought, that's a pattern. We had a rule: tell each other if you'll be gone overnight. We never said, tell each other the place matches the story, but I figured that was implied. The client had a name I didn't ask for and shouldn't have learned. He was a Coast Guard guy on leave, divorced, friendly enough, kept his decks clean. You never catch me bad-mouthing coasties. They tow a lot of luckless people back to shore and save more than anyone sees. I saw him around the marina in a ball cap, hands on his pockets, shoulders built like someone used to wearing gear. He tipped, always cash. He waved like he knew me from somewhere, then remembered he didn't. When the marina office mentions a military discount, guys like him add $10 to make the math easy. He said he paid Alice off the books because apps take a cut. I told myself that wasn't a red flag. I told myself it was old school. My gut didn't like it. Our pit bull, Rocky, has a good nose for lies. He's brindle with a white splash and a head as square as the base of a piling. He knows the difference between a slam door and a storm. He used to rocket toward Alice like she was daylight. Something changed. He started hanging back when she came in. His ears turned to satellite dishes, then twitched flat. He stopped sleeping under her hand and started sleeping under the window that looks out toward the water. Dogs don't gossip, but they vote with their feet. The earrings showed up in our bathroom like a small bell. Delicate hoops with a little anchor charm. She said, from a friend too fast, like a kid saying, not me, in the tone that always means it was me. She didn't wear jewelry for herself. She wore practical, hair tie, watch, ring. The hoops didn't fit anything but a story I didn't want to hear. I told myself it was a shelter donor thanking her. I told myself the anchor charm meant community. I told myself other things until I ran out of air. Back to the ring clip. At 1:43 a.m., Alice lifted those donor bags into the trunk and left. No note, no text about a midnight drop. In the morning, she made coffee like the night hadn't made a sound. I sat at our small kitchen table and watched the sunlight through the blinds write jail bars on the cabinets. The ball cap coastie had paid cash the night before. She told me it was just for sitting. The bag said different. You headed in early? I asked, steady voice. My hand didn't match it. Yeah, she said. We're low on wet food, a ton of kitten intake. I'll be there late too. The schools have a volunteer thing, and I'm on the list. I nodded. You take anything out last night? She opened a cabinet and studied it like it might answer. Just trash, she said. Why? My phone was in my pocket, hot with the truth I could pull up and shove between us. I didn't. Not yet. No reason, I said. I've got a dock to reline. North side. That one with the slip that leans if you look at it wrong. She kissed the top of my head. Rocky stood behind my chair and did not move. That afternoon, I stopped by the shelter with a parts receipt for the drill I'd loaned them last week, a formality the board liked. The lobby smelled like disinfectant and warm straw. A teenage volunteer was sweeping. The whiteboard said, donor inventory count, sat 6 p.m. with a smiley face beside it. In the back room, the metal shelves looked normal to anyone who hadn't seen them every week for 2 years. To me, they looked thin, not empty, thin. A brand of grain-free kibble that one rich lady always sends by the pallet was missing from the usual row. 2 cases of wet food were gone off the stack without the little outgoing tally marks Alice insists everyone make with a Sharpie when they take something for Foster's or clinic days. A note on a post-it said, temp hold, return mon. Temp hold where? I asked the room. Shelves don't answer. Sometimes they should. I found Aunt May in the cat wing. She's not my aunt. She's everyone's. She's 70 with hair like white smoke and a spine that could pry open a locked heart. She runs the board meetings with a gentle fist. She put a finger to her lips and nodded toward a sleeping calico, then led me into the hall. You okay? She asked. Your face has your father's worry on it. Inventory's light, I said, keeping my voice low to match hers. The good kibble and some wet. I didn't see any tally marks. She pressed her mouth tight. I noticed, she said. Thought maybe we moved it to the annex, but the annex is full of towels. Alice has the keys to the far cabinet. She been doing night sits? I asked. Boats? Aunt May's eyes are the kind that don't blink until they're sure. She said. Some. Why? If a donor asks where their food went, I said, what do we tell them? Temporary staging, she said, then held my eyes and let the sentence die. She patted my arm. Sometimes people build small bridges to get over big holes, she said. Sometimes they forget to come back and fill the hole. On my way out, I caught the glass case reflection of someone I didn't recognize, a man who knew the weight of a 15-pound bag by the way his shoulder tilted, and who also knew when a 15-pounders were missing, even if the stack was tall. At the marina, the water had that late afternoon skin that looks like it belongs on an animal. The seawall hummed. I walked the north finger like I always do, touching cleats, checking lines. When you do a patrol like that, the details talk. The Coast Guard guy's boat, a used 48-footer with fresh deck paint and a new portable grill strapped down by the stern rail, had 2 folding chairs set on the aft deck facing each other, not facing the view. That's a choice people make when they sit with a person, not with the sunset. A beach towel was draped over the rail and dripping. A small stainless bowl sat by the transom step, the kind you set out when you expect the dog. A woman from E-Dock passed and called, "Heard your girl's an angel. That big dog slept through the night, huh?" "What big dog?" I asked before I could stop the words. She smiled the nosy smile people in marinas get when they have too much time and not enough fresh stories. "The Coast Guard guy," she said. "He said he had a shepherd with separation anxiety. Your Alice was a saint, stayed over. He tipped good too. Cash because he's old school." I kept my face still. "Yeah," I said, "he is old school." That night when I told Alice the E-Dock lady said thanks, she said, "Who? Too fast." Then, "Oh, right, that shepherd. Sweet boy, he's a leaner." "Yeah?" I said, "What's his name?" She blinked. "Buddy," she said, "or maybe bear." I said, "Big difference." She shrugged, and the shrug was a wince dressed as a dance. The second ring clip didn't bother to be polite. 2:04 a.m., garage again, Alice again, 1 bag of wet food, 1 bag of kibble, a box of chew toys from the donation bin. She moved quick like a person who knows where a camera is and hopes the speed will blur her. It didn't. I watched her load the trunk and drive away. I watched the driveway stay empty. I watched the timestamp tick like a slow heartbeat. I didn't sleep. Rocky didn't sleep. He paced in a small oval by the back door like his bones were trying to find a door my mouth couldn't open, but stored beat. You can survive a lot of not knowing if you keep your hands busy. The next day, hands busy didn't help. Rocky bolted when I cracked the door to take the trash out. He never bolts. He shot past me like a spring let go, straight down the block, across the street, toward the water. I yelled his name and the neighborhood woke up, a man cursing, a woman calling, "Leash your dog!" My own heart banging like I was deep in an engine room. I chased him to the boardwalk and lost him in a knot of joggers. I put my fingers in my mouth and whistled the whistle he always answers. He didn't. I ran. Then I remembered the cheap GPS tag I'd hung off his collar last fall after he made friends with a raccoon and decided not to come home. It's not fancy. It pings your phone when your dog leaves a safe zone. My phone was already angry with red bubbles. I opened the app. The dot wasn't on our street. It wasn't in a park. It was moving along the line of our marina, then settling near a single waypoint labeled because I'd labeled everything in that app the day I installed it, E-Dot Gate. I ran the rest. Security nodded me through because it's me. The dot sat at the E-Dot Gate for a second, then moved down the planks, then stopped. By the time I hit the spot on my screen in real life, I saw him. Rocky crouched low next to a pontoon's plastic fender, tail down, head tilted, listening toward a boat I knew too well now. He whined once. He didn't look at me. He stared at the deck door like church people stare at a side chapel when they know a saint isn't home. "Rock," I said, soft as I know how to be. He looked at me then with apology, the kind that hurts more because it's not a human trying to sell you something. He stood and leaned the weight of his head against my knee. The deck door on the Coast Guard guy's boat opened. Alice stepped out, hair in a knot, sweater over a tank top she doesn't wear for work, bare feet. She froze when she saw us. "Austin," she said. Just my name. No smile. No quick save. Inside the cabin, a man's voice said, "Who is it?" and then stopped because men who spend part of their lives listening learn the shape of trouble. I put a hand on Rocky's collar. He didn't pull. He leaned harder. "I was looking for the anxious dog," I said. My voice didn't match the punch in my chest. It came out like I was checking a cleat for looseness. "Seems like he found you." She swallowed. "It isn't," she started. "Say what it is," I said. "Don't make me finish your sentences. I want the truth in your mouth, not mine." She looked at the deck, then at me, then past me. "I moved some food here," she said, "just for a night. The hold smelled like oil. I didn't want the cats to breathe that. I was going to bring it back this morning." "The donor bag's in your trunk at 2 in the morning," I said. "The cash payments that don't touch any app. The earrings with anchors. The bowl by the transom. The chair that faces another chair. You think I don't know what boats look like when love is on them?" "Austin," she said, and my name in her mouth sounded like it did when we were 25 and also like it had a grit in it. I didn't plan to." "Don't use that sentence on me," I said. "You did, or it happened. Either way, I'm here now." The Coast Guard guy stuck his head out the deck door then, the cap off. Hair rumbled in a way I didn't want in my head. He saw me and set his shoulders like a man who knows how to walk into a wave. I don't want to fight you, he said. He held his hands out like he was showing me they were empty. I respect you. I didn't mean. Don't finish that, I said. You meant every step it took to get here. He nodded. Fair, he said. Then hear mine. Nobody's lying to a kid. Nobody's taken from animals. You took from donors, I said. My voice went flat. I saw it leave. I know where it went. He glanced at the deck and then at Alice. She looked like a person reading a map someone spilled water on. We were holding it, she said. Temporary. He's got a shepherd coming next week with a nervous gut. The shelter is small. We had a flood in the back room last month. You saw? I thought. She stopped. Sometimes the truth is a wall and you hit it with your mouth and you stop. I crouched next to Rocky and rubbed the place behind his ear that makes him go soft. You made a choice, I said. Make it again. Only this time, don't say it's for a dog. Say it's for you. She went pale the way people go pale when the two stories they've been telling crash into each other. I love you, she said. She said it with the desperation of a person handing over a life preserver when the boat is already gone. I love you, I said, because that was also true, and I wasn't going to throw out a thing just to win a point. I love this dog. I love that shelter. I love my mornings when the water is slick and quiet. I do not love your lies. The Coast Guard guy took a small step back into his own doorway. Take your dog, he said. He meant Rocky. He also meant me, like maybe I was someone else's dog. We'll sort the rest without. Without what? I asked. Without the board, without the donors, without the part where you say you pay cash so no one asks why? He didn't answer. Men like him are trained to stand in bad weather without blinking. He did that now. He didn't blink. I clipped the leash to Rocky's collar. He didn't fight it. He looked once at Alice, then at the bowl by the step, then at me. I led him off the dock. Where are you going? She asked. It sounded like the door of a house closing for the last time. Home, I said. Then to the shelter, then to the board. She took a step like she might come after me. Then she didn't. I heard the soft slap of water against a hull. I heard a gull laugh like it knows things. I heard my own feet on planks that I tightened last month, and I was grateful for the way they held. At the shelter, Aunt May glanced at Rocky and then at my face and decided I didn't need the "is he allowed" speech. She led me straight to the tiny office where the board keeps the thick binder of things you wish you never needed. Bylaws, audits, incident reports, the form you fill when a volunteer acts like a customer at a store where they don't sell you. I put my phone on the desk and opened the ring clips. I pulled out the handwritten inventory tallies from the last donor day, the ones I'd helped count. I spread them like a quiet hand of cards. I need a meeting, I said, now. We met in the lobby because that's the only place to sit 5 humans and 3 big feelings. Aunt May, 2 board members who run numbers for a living, 1 young vet tech who knows more than anyone about what medicine costs. I talked in small declarative sentences, night withdrawals, no tally marks, temporary holds that weren't pairs of crates in the annex, a dog I love running to a boat because that's where his person slept, the Coast Guard guy, the cash. I didn't use his name. This wasn't about blasting a man's life open. It was about closing gates that had been left swinging. Aunt May listened without fidgeting. When I finished, she looked at my hands and noticed the tremor. She reached across the little circle and put her palm over my knuckles like the way you cover a cup in a wind. We will take it from here, she said. You are not responsible for this part. I don't want her fired, I said. I want it honest. The numbers guy cleared his throat. Honesty can come with consequences, he said, not unkind. I know, I said. I also know we can't have the donors calling the cops before we call ourselves. We made a plan. Interim oversight. Sign-out sheets locked with 2 keys. A pause on off-site sits until training could be written in a way that didn't fit around a loophole. A letter to donors telling them increased accountability is good medicine without airing anyone's sheets. Aunt May volunteered to talk to Alice in person. Gentle, direct, and in daylight, she said. No night corners, no whispering. I walked out into the afternoon like a man who had stepped out of a storm. Rocky sat in the shade by the door and thumped his tail once when he saw me. We went home. I put his bowl on the mat and filled it and sat on the floor and watched him eat like watching would make the simple act stick. She came by at sunset. St. Pete at sunset turns pink like someone generous spilled paint. She stood on our porch with a paper bag in her hands and her hair loose like it was begging for a breeze. Rocky went to the window and then stayed back from the door like he wasn't sure which pack he owed. Can we talk? She asked. We will, I said, and stepped onto the porch and closed the door behind me. She held the bag out. The earrings, she said. I can't wear them. It feels like my ears are lying. I didn't ask for them, I said. They're not for you, she said. They're for not me. We stood under the porch light and listened to a neighbor's wind chimes do their aimless thing. She took a breath and let it out slow. I messed up, she said. Not just the cheating, the taking. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I was moving resources to where they would be used. I told myself you'd be mad about the man and not about the food because one hurts and the other is just cans. I was wrong. All of that is true, I said, except the just cans part. Those cans are love. I know, she said. The board asked me to step back. Aunt May was kind in a way that hurt worse than yelling. She looked at the yard like maybe there was a dog buried there. I asked him to give me a week without calls. He said I'd regret it. He said I'm scared of my own life. He said a lot of things men say when they don't want to be alone. What did you say? I asked. She laughed once without a smile. I said I'm scared of my own life, she said, and I said I'm going to be scared somewhere honest for a while. We talked logistics because love likes poetry and life likes calendars. We split days for Rocky, even though Rocky kind of answered it himself by sleeping under our window and not under hers. We talked about money. We talked about the way a house sounds when a person is missing from it and how you don't fill that sound with junk. We did not scream. We did not whisper. We planted stakes in a ground that moves. The next morning, I walked the marina before dawn. The water had the quiet it gets when the air hasn't decided what it wants to be. The Coast Guard guy's boat sat in its slip like a fish pretending to be a dock. His deck was clean. The bowl was gone. The two chairs faced the view again. I stood on the finger and felt the little lift under my feet when a passing wake kissed it. I thought about the pictures on my phone. I had chosen not to drag into a room full of strangers. I thought about my dog asleep in my house. I thought about a woman who can get a calico to believe the world isn't teeth. At the shelter, the lobby had a new sign. Inventory sign out required. The metal shelves had fresh paper labels. There were tally marks where there should be tally marks. Aunt May added a short note on the whiteboard about gratitude and care. She didn't add a "don't steal" line. She didn't need to. Weeks don't fix a thing like this. They just stop making it worse if you don't push. I still see him at the marina sometimes and we don't nod. I still see her step over our threshold for Rocky with a leash and a voice that knows how to say, "We're okay" to a dog without lying to a man. We still sign forms that say separation and legal ink. My mornings on the dock are the same and not. The planks talk, the pilings groan, the pelicans complain like old men at dawn. I tie a line and it holds, and something in me believes it means more than a rope. You want to know what the big confrontation looked like? The one in your head with yelling and broken glass? It didn't have that. The biggest sound in the whole story was my dog's collar tag ringing against the clip of his leash when I clicked him back to me. I keep that sound. That sound means the pack I'm in can say, "Come on, let's go," and mean it. Here's what I learned. A lie doesn't have to be loud to burn down a house. Sometimes it's just a steady breeze under the door you pretend you don't feel. You don't have to be cruel to stop it. You don't have to swing at a guy on a deck to prove you have a spine. You can say no and walk away and let your feet on your own planks be the answer. You can hand a board the paper they need without handing them a person to shame. You can keep a dog safe and still not turn yourself into a man who makes everything a fight. Most mornings now, I get to the marina before light. I check the lines, fix a bad cleat, nod at a heron who thinks he owns the place. Rocky sits beside me and watches the first punt of a sun touch the water and turn it into something a painter would swear nobody believes. If you were standing with me, I'd pour out the thermos coffee that always tastes like someone left a wrench in it. And I'd tell you this, it isn't a happy ending. It's an honest one. Sometimes that's the only kind that lets you wake up without feeling like the dock under you is about to give. Two questions for you. Where would you draw the line between compassion and crossing a boundary when someone you love starts borrowing what isn't theirs? If your proof was a dog that chose a different door and a camera clip you couldn't unsee, would you confront in public or hand the evidence to the people who can fix the system and then go home and keep your peace? If this story resonated with you, share your take in the comments and subscribe for more.